Hello everybody, welcome to Week in Tech. My name is Karamjit and with me is Aisha, pretty in pink, if I may use a old cliche.
Purple.
Pretty in purple, sorry, there you go. Okay, we're going to change the lighting in here, guys, okay? Alright, anyway, we'll get right to it. The cover story for this week is an interesting initiative by Team called Go Global. And of course, those of you who follow The Edge also will know that 4 years ago we launched every 6 months, something called Go Global also, but SMEs Go Global. It's basically about how SMEs are ready to tackle the global market. So Team has a similar initiative calling it Go Global. What they've done is they wanted to launch it many years ago, but they just couldn't get the right person to champion it also within Team, and they were busy with various other programs. But finally last year, new council came in, and they've got this gentleman by the name of Aziz Ismail to run it. He's the chairperson also for market access under Team. So basically what they've done is they've together with the key help of MDEC and Martrade, they are now going to be renting premises in the Silicon Valley, very specific to the Silicon Valley. They're going to be renting premises in most likely 2 incubators, and they're going to send 10 companies over there. They've already screened these companies to find companies which have got strong products and companies which already have existing businesses. So they can be startups, but they're not like fresh startups. And they're going to send these companies there for a year. But the companies are going to be paying some money also. Of course, you can't expect it to be free. Mm-hmm. But interestingly enough, they're going to be sending the CEO or maybe the chief marketing officer. Because this is going to be a serious initiative to penetrate the US market. And the way they're going to do it is they plan to go global via using the US as the home market, so-called. So that then, like Aziz said, if you're tops in your market niche in Malaysia, you're still nobody. If you're even 3rd or 4th or 5th in the US in a similar market niche, you're a serious player. So they plan to take these companies there. Hopefully their products find traction in the US market, gain branding also, and of course revenue. And from there they will use that as a launchpad to then come into, to go out to the rest of the world. And according to Siva Palan, Dr. Siva Palan, who's the Team advisor, he says this approach is quite unique and innovative, and people from the Kaufman Institute, which is based in the US, very entrepreneurial friendly organization focused on, said that they also thought the approach was very innovative. So it could be innovative, but let's see if they get results. They plan to be there for a year, and at the end of that they're going to evaluate to see whether it's worthwhile for them to carry on the program, and they will even replicate the program in other countries they want to go into if it works. So it's quite interesting. They were at Martrade yesterday, so they presented to Martrade top brass, and the deputy CEO of Martrade was there, Muhammad Kamaruddin Hassan, and it says the deputy chief executive in brackets development, but he had 4 of his senior people there. So they were listening to the 10 companies which were picked, and he just wanted to get a high level view of what these companies were up to. And he admitted that he wasn't familiar with the technology they were throwing at him, but he found their goals ambitious but also refreshing. And he says if they end up giving them money to go for the event, he was worried that it would lead to brain drain, because you're sending bright people over to the US for a year, and they may end up their companies being bought over and then them remaining on in the US. But I think that was just a small worry of his. They really like the program, and it really looks like it's going to go ahead. Team is hoping to get it off on the ground by June and have the entrepreneurs go over there. And the interesting thing mentioned by Dr. Siva was that they also want 10 people to go over there, because then you give each other emotional support. Somebody could have had a good day, could have had a bad day, right? And you support each other, right? So you're not there alone, because it's not going to be easy, going there and being alone for that long. And of course the companies won't be there for the full 1 year. The CEOs could go there for a few months, right, or a few weeks, and then come back and then go back again. But the idea is to have a permanent presence there. So anytime VCs or whatever want to come and visit, there'll be the Malaysian section or whatever within Plug and Play in Sunnyvale, and they know that there are Malaysian companies there. And also the idea is for these companies to cross-sell each other's products also. When they're there, if they're seeing a customer and the customer will say, hey, I need a business intelligence component, and he say, hey, yeah, I know Aisha and she's got a company that's doing that. So you can also make referrals. So quite interesting. It's finally off the ground. Kudos, I have to say, to Martrade, because they admitted that the proposal is coming at the wrong end of the time for them, because money is scarce. But apparently within 24 hours they called back the people from Team and said, we will get you the money for this because we love the program and it's time we do this too. So kudos to the people at Martrade. I was really impressed with them. So that's that. There's a lot more in the article, so pick it up and read it next week or this week by the time you're watching it. And then also, Aisha, we've got Muda, right? And we were bantering with our crew beforehand, and quite a few of them use Muda too, which was shouldn't have been a surprise to me, but
right. It was actually very insightful. I interviewed the general manager, and actually Muda it's a joint venture between the Singapore publishing house with Schibsted. Schibsted is a Norwegian company. They've got presence in Muda is sort of like a localized platform that is available in Europe, also in 14 countries in Europe.
Okay.
So Muda is an extension of that. Malaysia is the first country that they chose to start in with, and within 2 years,
first out of the 14 countries.
First in Southeast Asia.
Southeast Asia.
Yeah. And he says that I think that in 2 years on ComScore at least, Muda is number 1 and number 2 on the most visited website in Malaysia.
Really?
And interestingly, when I asked him about e-commerce, and he says that he doesn't call himself an e-commerce website, and he feels that e-commerce is going to have problem growing in Malaysia.
Really?
Which is a surprise because, well, for one thing, he says he's not an e-commerce website because he's basically a platform for buyer and seller to come and sell used items.
Okay.
So he said it's a different, because for the most part he sells most of the classifieds are used items and they're not new items.
Yeah, they're not new. I noticed
so he says that the buying process is very different. There's no online transaction or money being transferred going on that Muda facilitates, except for the fact that they've recently partnered with PayPal. And one of the reasons was also because to prevent fraud. But he says that a lot of their transactions are actually between buyer and seller offline.
So
he doesn't call himself an e-commerce website. And he says, it's just, apparently he says, like, think of your local Pasar Malam. He's trying to create that Pasar Malam online. So, because if you go to the Muda website, the first thing you see is the Malaysian map. So you pick the regions where you want to shop in. So he says that basically he's trying to create, say, a Pasar Malam in Selangor, a Pasar Malam in Kuala Lumpur, but it's online. But then you go there and then you negotiate between buyer and seller. So
and you pay them for that space to be on, on
it's free. It's free. It's actually, it's still free. That's he only charges because he says that his strongest segment is car and car part dealer. Car parts, cars and car parts. So for those, he started charging for vendors, which is professional advertisers, the sellers, not normal layman that wants to sell his 2 years old car. So, and I think it's pretty interesting because he says that he thinks e-commerce will take some time to go because he feels that websites like eBay is not doing too well in Malaysia.
Well, that's good, man, because that means Lelong.com.my is doing well.
and he says that he thinks that one of the reasons is because that I don't know, probably because he says that when he asks his clients, a lot of them actually do not use credit cards online. It's different. He said it's a different market than in Europe. Europe, people would, they wouldn't think twice about using their credit cards online.
Yeah, of course.
But he doesn't see that in Malaysia.
But there's so many Malaysians now with credit cards already and debit cards too. Millions. So that's interesting.
He says that. Well, first of all, he thinks that in Europe it's very different. Here, if you default on your credit card debt, they will hunt you to the ground. And take every last penny out of you, basically get your firstborn. But he says in Europe, consumers are protected. If you default on your credit card, you're only protected you only have to pay up to a certain amount. So he feels that that's why in Europe, at least, it's a much mature market for them to swipe their cards online. I don't know if it means that Europeans are least responsible with their less responsible with their credit cards, but he thinks that's a factor.
Wow, interesting.
But he says the main reason is he feels that first of all people don't really use credit cards online, so which is why he thinks Muda is doing well, because people prefer meeting the seller, whether it's a new item or a used item, you want to see the item.
So you're on familiar ground.
Exactly, you want to talk to that person. So he says that the trust level is very different if you compare to European markets.
But yet they've enabled PayPal now, which means they think that could take off. That's online.
Yeah, well, he says that one of the reasons is also because I don't know, fraud maybe, but just to provide more avenues.
Okay, wow, very interesting. I mean, this e-commerce thing is fascinating. I think we should bring a guest on the next time, to talk about e-commerce, right? And the intricacies and the complexities of it in the Malaysian environment. But anyway, with that, we got to extricate ourselves from this discussion and end the show now. We will see you next week. Have a great and productive week ahead with technology.